Catherine Key was heading to her boyfriend's house at 2 a.m. when in total darkness, she unwittingly drove into a flood zone near St. Louis, Missouri.
What do you do in this kind of situation?
It came out of nowhere and my engine actually shut off. When I was sitting in the car, I could feel it like drifting. I got out because I realized I needed to save myself.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
The rushing water swept her away.
I was on the phone with the operator and I'm like holding my phone up from the water, like trying to like keep my phone okay so I can keep talking.
The hard question, I mean, did you think you might not survive?
I thought that like I might drown.
She clung to a tree for an hour.
It was hard for them to find me because the tree I was holding on to, the branches were like drooping down. So a bunch of leaves and branches were kind of covering my face.
Rescuers pulled her into a boat.
I told them thank you, and I think I cried into one of the rescuers' shoulders.
Through it all, the soon-to-be college freshman recorded her life and death struggle. The next day, she posted everything on TikTok.
I'm getting like mixed reactions about it. The TikTok wasn't on my mind, but I was trying to take videos, one for the insurance company and two to show like my family.
Evacuate now! Tourists scrambled their way out of the Grand Canyon after two powerful weather systems unleashed a torrent of rain.
Everything got washed away.
Some sought high ground as flash floods turned streams into rivers, stranding campers.
Those people can't get over.
Shelby Weiss and her mom Sherry found themselves caught up in the drama.
Mom! What? We have to evacuate! Look, those are not waterfalls. That is water coming over the top of the cliff. Oh my God.
It was definitely one of the scariest things I've ever been through in my life.
It's supposed to be a trail and it is a river.
It took place in a popular tourist destination known as the Havasupai Reservation. Normally it looks like this, an oasis, paradise on earth. But this scene of beauty quickly became a danger zone.
Oh my God.
The damage almost unimaginable. Two powerful earthquakes struck Turkey and neighboring Syria. 10,000 people are feared dead. Watch as aftershocks from the 7.8 quake bring down an entire apartment building. People run for their lives. This reporter is doing a live shot when a strong aftershock hits. He flees with everyone, and when the cameraman turns around, you can see what a close call it was. Then the reporter runs back to help a family emerging from the debris. He grabs a child in his arms and tries to comfort her. Cameras caught another building collapsing. Drone footage shows the scale of the devastation. A desperate search is underway to find victims buried alive. Closer to home, a much smaller earthquake measuring 3.8 on the Richter scale was felt in Buffalo, New York this morning. Nerves were already frayed in the city that's been through so much recently, including this historic blizzard that left 47 people dead. The Buffalo quake did not do any serious damage. Could the two earthquakes be related?
The Buffalo event was many hours later, and so in that sense, I think the chances are very low that the Buffalo event really had much to do with that far event in Turkey.
Hold on tight, it's man versus wind. It may look like the dead of winter, but no, this happened just a few days ago in May.
The wind is traveling so fast, it literally just sucks the air out of your lungs.
The location? The Mount Washington Observatory in New Hampshire. Tom Padham and Mike Dorfman collect data for the National Weather Service. They decided to see what it was like when the wind measured a mind-blowing 109 miles per hour.
There's this trick that we've tried to do in the past, but typically wind isn't strong enough. And it's where you essentially sit down in an invisible chair. And luckily it was strong enough to actually work.
Next, he tried to float in the air like an astronaut.
I decided to jump and test it out. And we were all doing this safely because I knew I wasn't actually going to go flying. The worst thing that would happen is I would end up on the deck on my back.
I basically was witnessing him jumping in the wind, and I was like, that looks really cool, but I'm not going to do it.
The scientists are excited about the reaction their video is getting.
There are a lot of comments saying this video has to be faked. They made it up. In my mind, that's like they're really getting it because they don't even understand the wind speeds up here. It's like not even on the spectrum of reality.
The woman being called the most considerate shopper in America has been found.
Oh my gosh.
70-year-old Grandma Sue Johnson was loading her groceries at a Walmart in Hurricane, West Virginia, which the locals call Hurricane, when a freak storm hit. What's making her a hero? She returned the cart as the storm raged around her.
What prompted you to return that shopping cart in that torrential rain? Most people don't even do it during good weather.
Well, I don't know. I always do. I always take it back. The wind was blowing it so hard that I had to grab onto it with both hands. The rain hit so hard it hurt. It was like a hurricane. I mean, it was blowing, and you couldn't hardly stand up. Someone smaller than me would have probably been blown away.
Kashina Rigdon shot the video from her car.
It's just really nice to see people doing the right thing.
Sue thinks it's unbelievable that she's getting so much attention.
Very, very shocked. I couldn't believe it. I can't believe when I heard from you all.
In the end, Sue is quite philosophical about her experience.
You can only get so wet, and once you're wet all the way through.
It's the iconic footage from the California earthquake. Now, the woman who desperately tried to save her cell phone when her swimming pool turned into a mini tidal wave is talking about her terror.
I was so scared that I was going to end up back in that pool.
Deborah Bruegel says she jumped out of her pool when she felt the ground begin to shake. Feeling unsteady, she sat down and says she was stunned when the water in her pool began churning big waves. Watch as she holds her phone high so it wouldn't get soaked.
I was screaming for my husband, and then all of a sudden the water's just coming. So I'm holding my cell phone up here trying to figure out how to text him.
Deborah says she wanted to text her husband that she needed help, but there was so much chaos, she started screaming out for him. And there he is. He grabbed her phone first, then helped his wife up.
These tsunami waves were coming out of the pool, were hitting her, and then I just came out and grabbed her phone and then her.
The dramatic footage caught the attention of Jimmy Kimmel last night.
This pool had like a mini tsunami, and is that one of those little fans she's holding up in the air? I don't know what.
The epic rupture in Ridgecrest, California, about 150 miles north of LA, is becoming a tourist attraction.
Oh, that's cool.
Watch as this woman puts her arm in the crack, then her entire body. Here, a child stands on one leg inside the crack. This local reporter reached her arm inside, but the U.S. Geological Survey says this is a big no-no.
It's probably not the safest thing to walk near these cracks. There's no clear indication how deep they may be. If you do stand on there, it could certainly collapse on you.
When you're talking about the weather, it's not always blue skies. Sometimes Mother Nature can get pretty freaky. Here are 7 times the weather acted wildly.
I've never seen it rain this hard at the beach. It's pouring.
In September 2017, a sudden, unexpected storm hits a beach in Santa Barbara, California. The winds quickly reach hurricane force, throwing umbrellas and other objects into the air. Leonard Diaz caught it all on camera.
It was super intense because you're seeing all this debris and beach chairs and umbrellas flying everywhere. People don't know where to run, where to go, what to do. You're trying to duck for cover, but the thing that's covering you, an umbrella, is now all of a sudden gone.
You can see parents on the beach trying to protect their children, but there's nowhere to hide.
It was just craziness, people yelling, screaming, and running for cover. Other people were consoling their kids who were crying, looking to see if they were hurt.
Other people sought refuge in stores as debris shot through the air. The sudden storm is known as a microburst, a powerful, localized downdraft. This microburst only lasted 2 minutes, but caused some serious damage. It even knocked down trees, and it shook those who witnessed it.
You can see how all of those elements combined together made for a very harrowing experience.
And a family in Colorado had a harrowing experience in May of 2017. They were trapped in their car as
huge chunks of hail pummeled the vehicle.
You're okay, it's okay. It's okay.
The hail was strong enough to crack the car's windshield in several places. Mom did her best to calm her 4 kids, who were understandably frightened by the storm. It produced ice the size of golf balls. Ice was also a big factor in the unusual weather of January 2018, when a massive winter storm known as a bomb cyclone hit the east coast of the U.S.
What the heck is a bomb cyclone?
Well, it refers to a low-pressure system that develops very quickly at a certain rate. And this one actually exceeds that threshold by a lot.
The weird winter weather caused it to snow in Florida.
People here in Florida are just out of their minds.
A little further north, a car in Baltimore was entombed in ice after a water main break. And around the same time, thousands of miles away, a snow tornado, also known as a gustnado, swept through an Austrian village. Gustnados look like billowing smoke, or like something from Frozen. So Elsa won't care that gustnados are short-lived, swirling windstorms that form on the edge of thunderstorms. In May of 2018, a different kind of storm swept across Egypt. It was a massive sandstorm, like something out of The Mummy. Sandstorms like this are known as haboobs in Arabic, and they pick up huge quantities of sand and dust. This storm reduced visibility across hundreds of square miles and closed several highways across the country. But the haboob's winds have nothing on what scientists saw at the Mount Washington Observatory in New Hampshire, when wind speeds there reached a mind-boggling 109 miles per hour. Researcher Tom Padham decided to take a stroll in the gust. He didn't get very far.
There's this trick that we've tried to do in the past, but typically wind isn't strong enough. It's where you essentially sit down in an invisible chair. And luckily it was strong enough to actually work.
Padham also tried to float like an astronaut.
We were all doing this safely because I knew I wasn't actually going to go flying. The worst thing that would happen is I would end up on the deck on my back.
This bride and groom can't stop laughing as a hurricane bears down on them. They refuse to let Hurricane Nate dampen their ceremony in New Orleans. We caught up with Michael and Heather Coughlin at the airport on their way to their honeymoon in Greece.
It was a little hairy, but we realized what was most important, and that was that we had all of our family and friends in one place.
They're not alone.
50 years from now, you'll be telling your grandchildren today that you got married in a hurricane.
Garrett and Carly Parsley exchanged vows on the beach in Gulf Shores, Alabama, as winds fueled by Nate whirled around them.
We're looking at these beautiful pictures of you guys on this windswept beach. What was it like?
Windy. Very windy. The waves were huge rolling in. No rain, though. During the whole time we were out there for the ceremony, there was no rain.
The couple actually moved up the time of the ceremony to beat the terrible weather. Over in Mobile, these bridesmaids refused to let Nate stop the party. Instead, they hiked up their dresses and partied on the flooded dance floor. Even the bride got in on the fun. Hey, at least it wasn't a flood like this. In Biloxi, Mississippi, a storm chaser made his way through a parking garage with water up to his waist. Rain on your wedding day is supposed to be a sign of good luck. If so, these couples should have enough luck to last a lifetime.
This teacher is racing to break up a fight. He gets right in the middle of it when suddenly... It turns out to be a birthday surprise. Happy birthday, Teach.
Happy birthday, dear Philly. Happy birthday to you.
She's Police Officer of the Year for a reason. In a snap decision, Officer Sharnice Hawkins from Maryland helped a huge turtle cross the road in the middle of a storm.
I was leaving an honor guard ceremony for the department, and from a distance, with all the rain, I thought that there were 2 cars that, had been in an accident.
But it wasn't an accident holding drivers up. It was a snapping turtle like this one. At more than a foot wide, she says it was the largest she'd ever seen.
I just wanted to help it get across the street, and it was inching. So I was like, okay, I'll just kind of walk with it as it crosses.
A passerby snapped a photo of the officer's good deed. Officer Hawkins explained it's her job to play different roles.
So whether it be a police officer, whether it be animal control if they're not there, it was pouring down raining, so of course someone would be like, oh my God, what am I doing? But, that's just my duty for that moment.
She says after helping the turtle cross the road, her shoes were ruined. But it was worth it if her actions changed people's minds about cops.
That we aren't all the bad guys. That's a certain percentage, but majority of us, if not, the most of us are just really out here wanting to do something good.
Sheer tornado terror. They're running for their lives. As intense wind and rain whip around them, they don't know whether to stay or seek shelter outside their RV.
Baby, come on.
They decide it's too dangerous inside their vehicle. The woman takes their 2 dogs and runs right into the tornado, ending up in a watery ditch. So, was it a good idea to leave their vehicle, or should they have stayed? That's the question we asked.
Cars don't do very well in tornadoes. They're like toys. They're tossed around and crushed and crumbled. As a last resort, if you can find a ditch, that's going to be a good option. I think in this situation, they probably made the right choice.
Allie Chapman posted this video today, sharing an update after last night's harrowing ordeal in Orange, Texas.
As you can see, we're safe, we're standing, we're good.
Then she drove through the RV park to show the aftermath.
Oh my gosh.
One thing's for sure, they're lucky to be alive.
A rare supercell serves as the stunning backdrop for these wedding photos. Wind howls as the bride tries to hold her hair in place while the photographer rushes to capture that perfect shot. The results are striking. The bride and groom kiss as the storm in Amarillo, Texas swirls behind them. The groom dips his bride for this dramatic photo. Footage from their ceremony shows the wind starting to pick up as the bride and groom say their I do's. We caught up with newlyweds Morgan and Manuel Montero on their honeymoon in the Dominican Republic. So whose idea was this?
We were in the back taking pictures, and then everybody ran inside and was like, y'all, there's a supercell, y'all have to get pictures. But it was pretty scary.
Were you worried this was like a bad omen? You just said I do, and then this huge dark cloud shows up.
I think she was more worried about getting rained on in her wedding dress.
The photo session was rushed through, and Morgan made a beeline back into the reception to avoid the downpour. Fortunately for these newlyweds, their stormy wedding went off despite the wrath of Mother Nature.
It's the terrifying moment a family experiences an earthquake. Dad grabs his little girl and runs out the front door, barefoot, wearing only shorts and a t-shirt in the snow. Mom quickly joins them for an embrace. Tony Skillia and his wife Jennifer were relaxing at home in Alaska with their 4-year-old daughter Sophia when that 7.0 earthquake hit last Friday.
The house is still shaking while we're outside, and you can see the houses from outside like swaying left and right. It was pretty intense.
The drama was all caught on their home security cameras. Check out the decorations flying off the walls and shelves inside their home.
That video is unbelievable.
I was just crying hysterically. Luckily, it stopped pretty quickly once we got outside, but it was just really scary.
And here's what it looked like inside another house. The family pets got totally freaked out. The dogs seem bewildered, and the cats start racing around. They don't know what's happening or where to run and hide as objects fall all around them.
At least 10 people have died in southeast Turkey after rain triggered deadly flash floods. The water ruined homes, buildings, roads, and other structures. It also carried away cars and debris. These provinces are home to about 2.7 million people, still recovering from the 7.8 magnitude earthquake in the region last month that left over 200,000 buildings severely damaged. The disaster killed over 48,000 people and left millions homeless. Because of the quakes, thousands have been staying in container homes and tents. Many of those structures have now flooded and/or drifted away. Police, firefighters, and the country's disaster management authority are working to search for missing people and rescue those trapped in buildings.
It could be another terrifying night for people in the South as that devastating storm system that wreaked havoc on Texas continues across the Southeast. At least 20 tornadoes were reported, many of them forming so quickly that people literally had seconds to take shelter.
A tornado rips across the highway. The red pickup truck is spun like a toy top, then gets slammed. Debris swirls around, and there's the truck. Then look, it just drives off like nothing happened. Storm chaser Brian Emfinger took the crazy video in Elgin, Texas.
I didn't even see the red truck when it happened. So I'll be honest, I was dealing with the tornado being right in front of me, watching for debris, that could fall on the vehicle. I could not believe that it got turned back over and just drove away.
Get inside! Get inside!
The same tornado system hit a Walmart in North Texas, catching shoppers off guard.
Run! 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 Stay away from the windows! Get away from the windows!
20 tornadoes were reported, including this one in the city of Taylor.
Large tornado!
It's exciting, but at the same time, it's also humbling because as you go through the path, you see the damage that it causes to people, and that is a humbling experience.
We are able to have tests who are, oh my God, there's an earthquake.
There's never a convenient time for an earthquake to strike, but the Prime Minister of Iceland kept her cool when one struck during a live interview. Prime Minister Katrin Jakobsdottir was taken by surprise.
Sorry, there was an earthquake right now. Wow. Well, this is Iceland.
She was in the middle of discussing healthcare with a reporter from the Washington Post when nature quickly changed the subject. But it only lasted a few seconds and she reported everything was all right.
Yes, I'm perfectly fine. The house is still strong, so no worries. Oof, but sorry.
The same thing happened to the Prime Minister of New Zealand back in May.
We're just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern was being interviewed when a 5.6 magnitude quake started 62 miles away from Wellington. The country sits on the famous Pacific Ring of Fire and is prone to earthquakes. But she kept right on going with the interview, smiling through the whole thing. And when it stopped a few seconds later, she was happy to report that all was okay.
We're fine, Ryan. I'm not under any hanging lights. I look like I'm in a structurally sound place.
These prime ministers have been shaken, but were not stirred.
As fatal floods continue to consume the streets of Louisiana, another concern has citizens worried. Coffins like these, seen floating in an already devastating scenario, and according to the Walker Police Department, caskets appear to be relocating from a nearby cemetery due to high water. Some are calling the flooding worse than Katrina, after as much as 17 inches of rain fell in parts of the state.
Unbelievable.
Like this man, barefoot, piling almost a dozen dogs into his car before it was too late.
It was 2 inches when I left this morning, and it's now about 3 feet in my house.
Wow.
So I'm just trying to get these dogs out, and I'm good now. I got to find a shelter.
Government officials have declared a state of emergency after the historic flood left at least 5 people dead and thousands in shelters.
And here's another peril to be aware of while taking in the great outdoors.
Oh my God.
Hikers struggle to stay upright as a flash flood hit Zion National Park in Utah.
Whoa!
This guy tries to rescue a woman, but ends up falling into the raging river himself.
Run to the rock! Run to the rock!
Another tourist finds himself submerged as he tries to escape. The woman taking the video says she got out of the river just in time.
We literally just got out like 2 minutes ago. Oh my God. All of this was not flooded just a few minutes ago. Oh my God.
According to the National Park Service, flash floods are common at Zion from mid-July through September.
The video is terrifying. 3 friends trapped in an elevator, up to their necks in filthy sewer water and no way out.
Now I know what to have a nightmare about tonight.
Could not imagine what it must have been like to be in that elevator. It happened during an epic storm in Omaha, Nebraska. Tony Liu and 2 friends took the elevator down to check out the floods when water started pouring in through the vents. Pretty soon, they were in neck-deep water. How scary was this?
Honestly, I would say this is #1, the most scariest thing in my life. Yep. Hands down.
Please, the water is up to our necks in the elevator.
Tony reached out to his roommate to get help.
I told him, hey, I'm gonna die in here if you guys don't come and try to do something.
The roommate came down to lend assistance, but then found himself up to his neck in water. The water was up to your neck at one point. Did you think you were gonna die?
I just thought it was gonna be like ankle level or maybe knee level, and then it just kept rising.
After a 10-minute struggle, they were able to get out.
I had to start swimming out of the elevator to get to the stairs to get to the main lobby.
For Tony and his friends, they never expected their Saturday night to turn into the worst nightmare of their lives.
It's just crazy because you only see this in a movie. You don't see someone trapped in an elevator every day with water filling up all the way to your head.
It's out of there. This was the scene today as authorities hauled that now famous red Jeep Cherokee out of the ocean. Video of the vehicle sitting in the pounding waves in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is one of the iconic sights from Hurricane Dorian. The SUV sat there overnight till a bulldozer hooked it up and pulled it from the surf this morning. This is how it looks now after it was towed to a local dealer. What a mess. So how did the vehicle end up getting stuck in the first place? The owner, Brittany Feliciano, says her husband loaned it to his cousin to take photos on the beach.
He was looking out the driver's window, trying to catch a glimpse because he was trying to get a good picture for our website, and he hit the drainage wall. And he went to go get help, and it was during high tide, so nobody could come and help him because it was obviously the start of the storm.
Brittany says the vehicle was vandalized as it waited to be rescued. It looks like the human storm was worse than the actual storm.
It really was. It was really bad, actually.
You can see just how powerful the winds are as Hurricane Florence makes landfall. This gas station roof in Wilmington, North Carolina is torn apart as the storm barrels through the East Coast. And look at this American flag. Strong winds in Beaufort, North Carolina caused it to thread. So far, at least 200 people are being rescued from their homes. Here's CBS News' Chris Van Cleve in New Bern.
The river and the road are now the same thing. In fact, we happened upon these folks. They're not search and rescue folks. These are people who came to help. They brought their own boat, and we watched as we were pulling up. They were coming in with a family. They had pulled out of one of the homes over here, a home that the family described as becoming an island. They just felt trapped with the water.
Inside Edition's Stephen Fabian is riding out the storm in Wilmington, North Carolina.
All right, so we're in a stairwell now of our hotel, kind of a balcony. You can see a lot of these winds whipping over our shoulder. Look at that. That's the Cape Fear River. I showed you guys this yesterday. It looks quite a bit different today. My colleague here, Alicia Powers, says it looks like special effects from a movie. That is crazy.
Heads up, Jeff. Big surge, about to get up the steps.
About 2 million people were ordered to evacuate before the storm hit. I'm Lee Sheps for InsideEdition.com.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do. Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel. I feel amazing. Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
A hurricane hunter's airplane gives an up-close view of a terrifying storm. The reconnaissance plane, a Lockheed WP-3D Orion, nicknamed Kermit the Frog, powers through Hurricane Dorian. It's operated by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Kermit is staffed with researchers and crew with nerves of steel who hope to learn more about the devastating storm. Hurricane Dorian tore a destructive path through the Bahamas. It left downed trees, wrecked homes, and crushed cars in its wake. The Category 5 hurricane had winds of 185 miles per hour, with gusts approaching 220 miles per hour. Dorian is among the most powerful storms ever recorded in the Atlantic. Residents in the southeastern U.S. are bracing for Dorian, and weather experts caution that even if the core of the storm doesn't make landfall, it can still pack a powerful punch.
That car's flying!
It's wild video. A car plucked off the highway and spun in the air by a tornado spawned by Hurricane Idalia. And here she is, the young woman who was driving the car.
All I could think was, I can't believe this is happening. This is really happening to me.
21-year-old Malaysia Smoke was driving home in rush hour traffic near Charleston, South Carolina, when disaster struck.
What did it feel like as you were upside down in the air?
It kind of felt like a roller coaster. Like I saw the ground from a different angle in my car, which was so crazy.
Her car landed on its side. And get this, she wasn't hurt.
All I did was have a scratch, maybe from glass on my left hand. I'm actually 5 months pregnant, and I was worried about the baby at the time. Everything checked out okay at the hospital.
Today, the cleanup from Idalia begins. We traveled to hard-hit Cedar Key, and the devastation there is heart-wrenching.
There was a building right here?
Homes and businesses torn apart. It will take years to get back to normal.
You're going to rebuild soon?
Yes, I don't know about soon, but we definitely want to rebuild.
The town of Crystal River was inundated by the storm surge. The streets swamped by 2 feet of water. It's where Gene and Tammy Tiener built a house back in 2019 that's supposed to be hurricane-proof. They evacuated to Orlando, 90 miles away, to wait out Idalia. So, did the house survive?
The streets en route to the house, as you can see, are completely flooded. A lot of the homes here partially submerged. In fact, we don't even know if we're going to make it all the way, but we're going to try.
It's not looking good. We came across these neighbors rescued by airboat. Their house was flooded.
Within maybe 2 hours, we were completely 14 to 16 inches inside the home.
And here it is, the hurricane-proof house. It's still standing. I broke the news to the Tieners via FaceTime.
It does look good. Everything here is clean.
Oh, wow. That's good. Oh, that's very good.
The circular shape helps deflect hurricane-force winds, and the high-impact windows are practically impenetrable. The entire house, designed and built by Deltic Homes, is anchored by columns that go down 20 feet into the earth.
Wow. That is solid.
It's great. We didn't have to worry about anything.
Looks good.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for showing us around the house.
Yes.
A violent tornado is coming at her, and the woman recording it is about to learn she should have turned off her camera and run for shelter.
Oh, I'm getting this.
Look out, here comes the twister, and the woman at the doorway is definitely in harm's way. Her husband tries to slam the door shut, but no luck.
Oh my God.
The tornado starts to literally suck the woman out of the dental office in Little Rock, Arkansas, while knife-sharp debris flies in.
The windows blew out, and when it did, it sucked me out the door. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Only hanging onto her husband's arm for dear life saved her.
I just grabbed her arm and sat there and held her.
Somehow, Jimmy Shaw was able to brace himself against the doorframe while he held onto his wife, Kimberly.
He saved my life. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
The office today is in ruins, and Jimmy was left with deep gashes.
I had stitches there, I just pulled some glass out of that yesterday.
Kimberly says her days of recording tornadoes are over.
Just stay safe. Don't be dumb like me and try to videotape something that is going to cost you your life.
And a storm chaser drives right into the path of a monster tornado in Iowa. His partner, who's watching from a safe distance, screams for him to turn back.
Back the up, Brandon. Back the up. Dude, stop.
The storm chaser is warned there's debris flying right at him.
I see it.
You do not see it.
A man ran for his life when an earthquake struck while he was sitting at his desk. And he got out just in time, as beams from the ceiling came down and could have seriously injured him. The 5.0 magnitude earthquake struck eastern Turkey. The country is prone to earthquakes because of its situation on the cross-section of major fault lines. CCTV video from around the region shows just how the quake rattled the area. It shook products off store shelves and left a mess for employees to clean up. It's not the worst the country has seen, but was enough to jolt people, since quakes in years past have caused thousands of casualties. This time, there were no immediate reports of deaths. But it seems when the ground starts to shake, people know it's time to go. People in Nepal could only watch in horror as a man on a motorcycle got swept away in floodwaters. While some witnesses tried to grab him before he went over the steep drop, they couldn't get to him in time. Then it was a race to get him out of the water before he got completely swept away. One Good Samaritan braved the raging river to go in and grab the man, who didn't quite want to leave his bike behind. Helpers did recover the motorcycle by tying a rope around it and hauling it onto land. The country experiences the effects of monsoon season every year starting in June. This year's floods have destroyed homes, roads and bridges, and wiped out farmland. The flooding has already killed 134 people, and this wet season is expected to last until at least September.
It's devastation in the Florida Panhandle today. Neighborhoods in ruins, some completely underwater. This family's home was blown away by the hurricane. John and Katrina Willis and their children were sheltering inside when disaster struck. They're okay, but their home was badly damaged. Dramatic drone video shows a school in ruins. You can see what's left of the gym. Storm chaser Scott Peak's vehicle was bombarded by flying debris.
There goes my windshield now.
They came across this abandoned car, destroyed.
That's another storm chaser's vehicle. We don't know where they are. We don't know who they are.
Reporters covering the storm literally put their lives on the line. NBC's Kerry Sanders was almost blown away.
Wow. Thank you.
That's the Weather Channel's Jim Cantori coming to his aid. And for a moment, it looked like both may be swept away. One woman sounded shell-shocked after riding out the terrifying storm.
I won't go through another one. I'd leave the next time.
Whoa. A freight train weighing hundreds of tons was tipped on its side. And this Air Force base, evacuated before the storm, looks like a bomb hit it.
There's a van that's flipped upside down. The hangar is completely demolished.
Now, hundreds of thousands of people who still have shelter are without power and facing months of hardship.
Twister dead ahead. So what does this guy do? He gets down on bended knee to propose marriage. Tom Bedard and Rhea Mayday are meteorologists with AccuWeather. They made arrangements to witness their first tornado together, but Tom had a bigger plan.
You thought you were just chasing storms.
I did.
The storm chasers wore matching orange shirts and drove 6 hours to southeast Colorado when forecasts predicted the slight chance of a twister. All that time, Tom had the ring in his bag.
My legs were shaking more than they had ever before in my lifetime.
I've never seen you so nervous, ever.
As luck would have it, there was the twister touching down. Rhea looked in awe, and that's when Tom seized the moment and popped the question.
I was just like, wow,
This is going to be a moment I'm never going to forget. And as I turn to my right, Tom's left knee is dropping at the same exact moment that the tornado is.
She said yes.
Are you going to plan the wedding in front of a tornado?
We're probably going to do it somewhere where we know we've got good shelter and we're sure that we can take care of all of our guests.
Talk about the perfect storm.
Officer Joe Nitchman is a hero after grabbing his canine partner from a car during a tornado.
So I'm in the station, I'm report writing, and my wife calls me. She's like, hey, we're in the closet at the house right now because there's these tornadoes in the area. And I hadn't gotten any alerts on my phone. So I was like, okay, well, I'm glad y'all are safe, but there's nothing going on out here. And she's like, well, just go look, make sure. So I go through our back doors of our PD, and that's kind of where the security camera picks up. It's like raining sideways. I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
His first thought was his canine, Roni.
I was really concerned for Roni's safety, and I was like, he needs to come inside. So I run out there, and I go to the front right door of my car. I'm planning on getting his leash so I can get him, just get him in, and that's that. Well, that's exactly when the tornado hits. And so I'm running to the other side of the car now, and I could barely open the door because the wind was so strong. It's going from the front to the back of my car, which pinned the door shut on that left side where he is. Finally, I could get the door open, and Roni is looking at me like, you're crazy if you think I'm coming out right now. And luckily, he kind of like put the brakes on for a sec, but I was like, come on, buddy, come on, we gotta go.
Didn't think anything of the rescue until the next day.
And so the next day I come into work, and I caught a dispatcher in the hallway. She's like, hey, we have some video of you. I hear a voice from out of there go, hey, you're fixing to be famous.
Officer Nitchman and Roni have been partners on the Deer Park, Texas police team since 2018.
We met a whole bunch of other dogs. You kind of couldn't pet them because they were like part patrol, part narcotics. Well, he's just only narcotics. So the first thing he did was he put himself up on my chest and kind of like, said hi. Then we watched him work, and we're like, we need that dog. But it's up to me to take care of them and house them and keep them happy.
And sure, running through a tornado wasn't the safest thing to do, but Officer Nitchman has no regrets.
I hope that it would expose the situation in Deer Park and parts of Pasadena too, because that was just rocked. And so those families that had their houses destroyed or the businesses, maybe they got a little bit extra help because of the video. Any handler or dog lover I know would do that for their pup, because they're part of your family, and with these dogs, with the officers like us, that man, they are like, he's like, truly is my partner. That's my one best friend. If anybody in the whole world during the shift is that guy, is Roni.
The moment a 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit Taiwan's northeastern coast, these resting cats pop their eyeballs open. Glowing in the dark, these little felines scramble, frightened that the building is shaking. Home security cameras caught the cats clawing around. Weather officials said around 2,000 buildings lost power in the quake. Witnesses told Reuters they felt buildings rattle nearly 300 miles away in Taipei. Railway service was suspended, and there were reportedly gas and water leaks. Luckily, officials say no one was hurt. Officials also mentioned that Taiwan is located right near two tectonic plates and is prone to earthquakes. That likely means these furry friends, who were scared awake as the ground gave them a good shake, just might have to learn to brace themselves for next time.
Debris. Big debris. A barn disintegrates as a monster tornado rips along a country road. The twister also tore the roof off a house.
Let's check on those people.
Just look at the size of the tornado as it wreaks havoc in this community in Wyoming. You can see flashes as electrical poles are ripped from the ground.
Power flashes.
There's debris everywhere. This was a crazy scenario.
Yeah, it debarked some of the trees that were nearby there. The power poles snapped like toothpicks.
Incredibly, no one was injured.
Stay calm, stay calm.
And in neighboring Nebraska, not a stick of this barn was left standing after it was shredded by a tornado. The winds just kept pummeling the wreckage as lightning flashes. Nature's fury indeed.
What happens when you go outside with wet hair? This family found out. Her hair is standing straight up, and Mom looks like she just got electrocuted.
It's the most powerful hurricane ever to hit the Florida Panhandle. It's like a buzzsaw, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The storm unexpectedly exploded in power to a Category 4 overnight. Storm chaser Reed Timmer.
And you can truly feel the power of this Category 4 hurricane out here.
Roofs were torn off buildings like they were strips of cardboard.
Holy hell!
And shingles and other loose debris rained down. This piece of wood speared the windshield of a car, and a terrified driver was almost killed by flying debris. And look, the thick glass doors of a Panama City hotel shatter.
More awning is just blown off of the front.
President Trump was briefed on the disaster at the White House, live on TV.
I just say God bless everyone, because it's going to be a rough one.
As Michael hit, Florida Governor Rick Scott tweeted, "Seek refuge immediately." This is how Hurricane Michael looked at sea as small boats rode out the hurricane.
Storm is intensifying, almost whiteout conditions.
This was the chaotic scene in a Panama City hotel where ABC News anchor David Muir was reporting.
You can see the roof of the hotel that we had been standing out there, and that has now come down on those SUVs.
Put this mattress in front of the window.
NBC News anchor Lester Holt used a mattress to block a window which threatened to shatter in the storm.
Just let you hear what it sounds like for a second. Wow. It's like a jet engine blowing past us.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
And reporters covering the storm were struggling to stay on their feet.
We're getting it, and we're not going to get the very worst of it, but not the very worst of it, as you can perhaps tell.
We knew we were going to get slammed with this hurricane. Wow, there we go.
All right, I'm only going to step out here for a second. You're going to take a peek at why. The wind is blowing so hard here.
It's an epic storm. It really is.
WCBS lead weather anchor Lonnie Quinn had this advice to anyone in the path of the storm.
You've got to get to a center room. You want to get away from windows. You want to get to a basement if you can. Problem is, in Florida, a lot of homes aren't built with basements. So you go to an interior room and you just hunker down. A lot of times we tell folks to bring mattresses with them and hold them over their heads if they can.
A tornado tears through a college campus. Watch as a bookcase in the library falls over. Debris flies through the halls at Jacksonville State University in Florida. The winds are so strong, it's hard to open doors. Thankfully, few were at school when the EF3 tornado hit since it was spring break. Classes have since resumed.
A state of emergency. That's the declaration from the governor of New York as the state is inundated by constant rain that's led to flash floods and warnings in some areas that residents need to move to higher ground. Les Trent waded through this water world.
Chaos in the New York City subway system as heavy rain pounds the nation's largest city. These guys are actually using umbrellas in the subway. And it's not just the subways. This is what parts of LaGuardia Airport looked like.
Oh my goodness.
This was the chaotic scene on the streets. Cars warily driving through the floods.
I am issuing a state of an emergency for New York City based on the weather conditions.
The mayor urged residents to stay in place or shelter at home. Well, I was about to walk across the street and a police officer just drove by and said over his loudspeaker that I had to be careful because there are manhole covers underneath here that are actually open. So I'm glad I didn't make that attempt. As New York becomes a water world.
As many as 23 million people are under flood watch.
Hurricane force winds triggered wildfires and caused a big rig to topple over.
Oh, God.
A passenger was recording the dangerous driving conditions when the giant truck slides across the freeway in San Bernardino County.
Oh my God, Donna, be careful.
The extreme conditions, known as devil winds, sent embers raining down on firefighters. Here, firefighters scramble to save a home from destruction as flames consume the roof. The hero firefighters do what they can, even moving boxes out of the garage.
Hello, it's the Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff's deputies went door to door, warning residents to get out. 90,000 residents were told to evacuate in Orange County. Heart-stopping surveillance footage shows flames inches from pro race car driver Graham Rahall's multi-million-dollar hillside home.
To see it come up the hill, then to watch the surveillance video as it's happening was pretty intense.
He also captured this dramatic airdrop.
Until these winds die down, this fire is unstoppable.
There is a neighborhood, believe it or not, on the other side of all this that fire crews right now simply can't get to.
CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti posted this harrowing video as he and his crew covered the story. Winds continue to fuel these hotspots in and around Foothill Ranch, but these fire crews saved these homes overnight and earlier this morning when flames threatened all of this neighborhood. This photographer saved this singed bunny. He scooped the little guy up and watered him down before seeking medical treatment.
How cold is it? This cold. The water coming out of this super soaker freezes the second it hits the air. A boiling pot of water, flash frozen. TV reporters are trying to outdo each other.
We brought our thermometer out again this morning, and it quickly dropped here to 30 degrees below zero.
I've got some hot water. I'm just going to throw it in the air. You can see it very quickly turns into ice.
This ice road trucker isn't in Alaska. He's driving down a road in Wisconsin. It looks like a frozen tundra. And this was the scene in North Dakota. Most people are taking the advice to stay indoors and off the roads. But this dude experienced the historic cold without even leaving his home.
Just took a shower and the steam froze around where the leaks are in my front door.
School has been canceled for millions of students across the USA, and some school officials are using humor to get the word out.
School's closed! School's closed! School's closed!
These teachers in Michigan belted out the news to the song Hallelujah.
It's a snow day, a winter cold day. Stay home and just play. It's a great family day.
She is the teacher who is being called a superhero today for jumping into action, rushing to warn people that a tornado is heading right towards their school outside Dallas. She's running shoeless as the twister looms in the background, and it even looks like she's appropriately wearing a superhero cape. Our Amber Cogliano has the story.
It's super teacher to the rescue. With her kimono blowing in the wind like a superhero's cape, she's racing to warn parents that a tornado is on the way. Check out that twister coming at her. The area outside Dallas was getting walloped by a tornado just as school was letting out. The students were ordered to shelter inside, but their parents who were coming to pick up their kids were unaware of the violent weather. That's when Megan Parson leaped into action. The fourth grade teacher took off her shoes and ran barefoot to alert the parents to take cover. The photo of Megan mid-stride has gone viral, with people calling her hero teacher and teacher of the year. In a Facebook post, she wrote, "This is what we do. This is how teachers are trained. We care for our family."
Hold on tight. Storm chasers are driving right into the path of a tornado.
Oh my
gosh. Watch as a huge piece of debris, which looks like part of a silo, passes in front of them. The twister touched down in Kansas. Yep, the same state that sent Dorothy running for cover in The Wizard of Oz.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
Luckily, there were no reported injuries in this real-life twister.
Nick from Fenton, Missouri is in the running for Husband of the Year. With this sweet Valentine's Day gesture for his wife of 19 years.
See idea. Apparently, earthquakes are scary for everyone, even bald eagles. A Nest cam in California showed this family of bald eagles experience a 5.3 magnitude trembler. Some were obviously more shaken than others. As the cradle rocks, one of the adult birds splits, while the babies are left wondering what just happened. But don't worry, the parent comes back to check on the little ones, who still seem to be in shock. Consider their momentary independence a taste of freedom.
It's a monster tornado. The twister roars, illuminated by exploding power lines. A woman records it from her backyard in New Orleans.
Do you see it?
These folks scream as they see the destructive tornado march through their neighborhood. This motorist suddenly finds himself in the path of the tornado, and he's terrified.
Oh my God. I need to get inside.
The violent tornado blew apart homes and everything in its path as devastated residents carrying flashlights survey what's left.
Oh, that was a church. This is unbelievable.
And in Texas, wild video shows storm chasers speed up so they can drive right into a tornado. Their car is walloped by fierce wind. Now they're inside the tornado as debris goes flying.
Oh my gosh, it's right here! It's right here!
And remember that crazy video of a red pickup truck spinning over like a toy top after a tornado slams into a Texas highway? The truck flips back up on its wheels, then drives off in Elgin, Texas, as if nothing happened.
I could not believe that it got turned back over and just drove away.
Here's the kid behind the wheel. His name is Riley Leon, and he's 16 years old.
It was a shocking moment for me. Thankful to God for giving me another chance in this world.
It's a classic movie moment when a tornado blows through Kansas, sending Dorothy and her little dog Toto flying up in the sky. It sounds like a Hollywood fantasy, but it just happened in real life to this Florida woman whose home literally lifted off its foundation during a twister. She spoke with Amber Cogliano.
Oh my God, look at that.
Tornado dead ahead.
It's humongous. It's a giant tornado. It's coming right towards you.
And this woman experienced something that's straight out of The Wizard of Oz. Just like Dorothy, Erica Van Swearingen's house was lifted right off its foundation.
We were weightless. It was the eeriest feeling. I mean, it felt like we were in the air forever.
You felt weightless. How scary is that?
The most insane thing ever, and I've got stuff floating around me, and I know it probably wasn't that long, but it felt like an eternity. Then it just dropped us.
After the storm passed, Erica took stock of the damage. The entire house had moved about 6 feet and is now uninhabitable.
I don't know if you can see it. That pipe stood straight up.
Even though she doesn't know where she's going to live, Erica is finding humor in her situation.
And there's the house, and here you are. And that's all that's left of the Wicked Witch of the East.
I was wearing the black and white tights that morning.
No.
So I put them out underneath the house, and I painted a pair of boots pink with sparkles on them, and I put a sign out front saying we're not in Kansas anymore.
Tap your heels together 3 times.
Of course, Dorothy just had to click her heels to make it all better. It's going to take a lot more to fix Erica's problems.
There's no place like home.
Erica says she is working with the American Red Cross to help her find temporary housing, and we wish her the very best.
Watch out, avalanche! A tourist is stunned as a giant avalanche stops him in his tracks during a hiking adventure in Central Asia. The rush of snow gets closer.
Oh God.
And closer.
Oh dear God.
Before finally engulfing in its path, the British tourist took shelter between some rocks as the avalanche crashed down around him. Harry Shimon shot the breathtaking video.
It was over, and then I kind of poked my head up and I was like, just happy to be still around, really.
Just how was this extraordinary dronado captured on camera? It's believed to be the first time ever a tornado was recorded with a drone at close range.
It's been 3 years I've been trying to get this one shot of up-close video of a tornado.
Storm chaser Brandon Clement shot the incredible footage from just 50 yards away. Watch as it swirls and moves at 35 miles an hour along fields and a pond, 90 minutes outside Oklahoma City.
I'm sitting here shaking violently, and it wasn't from being next to a tornado. It was seeing the video quality and what I was getting and knowing how hard I worked for that one shot.
The conditions had to be perfect to pull off the Dronado video. So how did Brandon do it?
I was able to get pretty close to it. There was no rain, not a lot of surface wind. I put the drone in position where I'd have the wind, with the drone instead of fighting it.
Brandon says he's also made special adaptations to the drone to help it fly in wet weather. The net result? Tornado video unlike any ever seen.
A rare tornado in Indonesia has damaged hundreds of homes and injured 33 people. Eyewitness video shot on February 21st shows the dark funnel cloud formed over the West Java province. Rooftop tiles and debris swirled through the air, caught in the powerful wind. Reports say a nearby factory was destroyed, threatening the livelihood of many locals. Tornadoes are not a typical occurrence in Indonesia. This weather phenomenon is more likely to be seen in the Northern Hemisphere. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the United States sees the most tornadic activity in the world. Over 1,150 tornadoes form in the U.S. each year. That's more than Australia, Canada, and every European country combined.
It's breathtaking video of a tornado touching down in Colorado.
Wow.
Just look at the magnitude of that storm.
Look at that right above us.
This kind of twister is known as a rope tornado and stayed on the ground for 5 heart-stopping minutes.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Storm chasers braved the death-defying conditions to capture the incredible footage.
Being that close to a tornado is an amazing experience, especially like that one. It was twisting and curling, and eventually the funnel went directly over our heads.
The tornado wasn't the only thing wreaking havoc in the area. Golf ball-sized hail also came crashing down, causing dangerous road conditions and severe damage to cars. From hail to tornadoes, it definitely was the wild, wild west with this weather.
Wow.
Tornado ripped through Iowa, leaving residents with a lot of cleanup. Video from the city of Norwalk shows the storm in action. High winds ripped the doors off of the Public Works building. Cameras outside the building show the doors being carried off in the wind along with other debris, creating a funnel that circled the parking lot. One lonely pickup truck wasn't lifted. Instead, it got battered with the flying objects. 2 gas pumps came close to getting hit but were spared in the end, averting possible disaster. Other facilities and gardens in town were also damaged, according to local reports. No deaths were reported in Norwalk, which is just south of Des Moines, but 7 people in other parts of the state lost their lives.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
I feel amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.